It didn't take long for Ed Green to figure out what he wanted to do for a living.
Ever since I was about 4 or 5 years old. You know, your parents' friends would come over and say, well, little man, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I would say, I want to be a disc jockey. And part of my college choice, little college in the Midwest, was because they had a radio station that I would be able to work at. And the last 2 years of college, I ended up managing the station, salaried by the college to do it.
His first job in Denver radio was a modest one, overnights at KLZ, where he had an unusual duty in addition to his air shift.
Uncle Mike was the morning man, Uncle Mike McEwen. My job, starting at about 5 a.m., was to keep calling him to make sure he was awake, because he would sleep through his alarm so he could get in by 6 a.m. And half the time, I ended up doing the first half hour of his show.
A few months later, he got the overnight shift at KIMN, eventually becoming assistant program director. There were more stops in radio, at KAAT and program director at KTLK, but the turbulent radio business made him think about a move to television. First, as a booth announcer on KMGH Channel 7. He soon expanded his role on the air because he wisely saved some old college textbooks.
I had taken meteorology courses in college because then I didn't have to take chemistry or, all those other tough ones. So I took meteorology because I was fascinated by weather. I still had my meteorology textbooks, picked out a couple of big words, and when I did my audition, I threw them in. And all the guys were like, oh, he knows what he's talking about, when I really didn't. And I got the job. And Warren Chandler came in, I wasn't there 2 weeks, and he brought a stack of books and put them on my desk and said, if you're gonna do weather, you better learn about weather. But thank God for Warren, I did know my stuff. And when I started out with weather, we had big plexiglass maps that we wrote on with magic marker. Then they came out with maps that were magnetic, and we would stick magnetic symbols up and the magnetic numbers. Oh, this was revolutionary. Then they had the key where you could pull a map out of nowhere. So this was new technology. And then suddenly, everything was on computer. I found the technology would be an advantage to what I did. So I kept that at heart and used the technology to make me a better storyteller.
Moving to Channel 4, he became the morning weathercaster and part of unusual promotional opportunities with his unrelated namesake, Larry Green.
Larry and I were doing weather, and we really looked pretty much the same. We were both about the same height, had dark hair at the time. Because we were the Green boys and we looked so similar, people somehow translated it to the Green brothers. A London station wanted to do an exchange. We'll have an American weather guy do our London weather, and we'll send our London weather guy over to you, and he can do your American weather. And boy, this will be fun. Fred Talbot came over here, and I went over there. When we did it the second time, then London was ready, and they had all these wonderful things planned out, including having tea with Princess Diana. Had it not been for little old TV weather, never gonna happen.
He moved to KUSA Channel 9 in 1996. Where one of his first assignments was to follow a young local athlete at the Atlanta Olympics.
With Amy Van Dyken, I came back and said, this girl is not only going to win a medal, they're going to be gold medals, and they're going to be more than one. And they laughed. They said, okay, great. Well, you keep thinking that. But because I'd interviewed her family and Amy and had been really stuck with her through this whole thing, well, she would find us and come to us first. Well, by the time the fourth gold medal happened, people, Amy, Amy, Amy. And she would look and look until she found us, come to us first, did the interview, and then went to whoever else. It couldn't have been a wonderful, more rewarding event that I will never forget. And Amy was just delightful.
After 5 years at Channel 9, he returned to KCNC, eventually taking over the evening weather slot after Larry Green retired.
That's right. It's springtime in Colorado. We'll see him just about every day this week as well. The showers and storms that we had and now have all moved down over southeastern sections of the state, and they're pretty much getting out of the way. All the lightning is dying down as well.
In all, he spent 42 years on Denver television. His career allowed him opportunities to interview celebrities and political figures.
Dolly Parton came, had a book, interviewed her about the book, and I had actually read the book. And after the interview, she said, you really read my book, didn't you? And I said, yes. I said, that's my job. She said, nobody reads the book. 2 years later, she came to town. There was a big security scare, but she had to cancel all the interviews. Except, she said, for the guy who read my book,
Throughout his career, Ed Green remained one of Denver's most popular television personalities, in part because of his work emceeing up to 93 events a year for Colorado nonprofits.
I average about 40 or 50 a year, but I vowed never to take a dime from any nonprofit. Just about everybody I ever worked with, from radio through television, taught me something. But I really just looked and observed and valued people that I worked with and was generally rewarded.
The Broadcast Pioneers of Colorado proudly welcome Ed Green to the Broadcast Pioneers Hall of Fame.